Our first hand is our line and shape hand. Our goal with our hands is to do some observational drawing, like we did in Art 2, and to improve not only our rendering skills, but also get to explore some different mediums or techniques that you may find interesting and want to apply for your personal art and for art critiques. With your non-drawing hand, like it to be palm towards you, and making your pose, try to bend at least one finger, if not two or three. It's going to give you some tension when it comes time to make the value map, as well as some cast shadows. We want the hand to be at least life size, if not slightly larger. And then make sure that you're taking your wrist off of the page, wherever that might be. Wherever you find the edge, that's fine. Remember, we all have a different artistic thumbprint, different styles. They're not going to look the same. That's not the goal. The goal is to continue to train your eye to draw what it sees, continue to work big to small, and become more sensitive to where you see value changes. Please avoid poses like this. At first you may think, that's easier. There's less to draw. That's true. And if there's less for you to draw, there's less for you to show, which means there's less for the viewer to see. So even though they're successful up here with their value map, they're not very successful here in the palm of their hand. Again, these fingers are very nice here with some mapping done, but a lot of this is left open and unmapped. So if you give yourself a pose where your fingers are bending, will create some tension and have some cast shadows. If you have a desk lamp at home, or maybe at the kitchen table, you can even control the light source and even get high contrast from your highlights to your shadows. As opposed to working in an art room, for example, it has multiple lights in the ceilings, that can be harder to do. So my hand is my answer key. And I have the contour drawing of my hand here. I found the shapes of the fingers and the folds, and it's much too heavy so that it shows up on the camera. And keep that in mind as I work through. I'll be drawing too heavy so that it shows on the camera. Remember to tickle your paper as you go. So I'm going to start by just working through on this middle finger here. How do I see this value change, or kind of this middle value and cast shadow from the index finger onto that middle finger? I can even draw right on my finger and feel how that moves and turns. The same way we've done in our drawing studies in Art 2. Some people will like to go back and explore with line quality and make lines heavier, or thicker, or darker. There isn't a right or a wrong for you in your sketchbook. So whatever feels right for you that way, feel free to do. Remember, just making mine darker here so that it shows up on our camera. Kind of this shape of that middle value that sits in here. Because along kind of this bend here, the opposite side of that is this lighter value that I'm seeing catching more light, that arcs up and works over this way. And then inside here, there's this heavy value that bends here and then disappears under the finger from that heavy cast shadow. Remember, we're not shading anything in. We're simply just making a map. What you are doing with your value map is you are showing me what you see. You are showing me where you see highlights and where you see middle values. As well as working on following what your eye is telling you. and working in those values. You don't need to label them, but every shape is where you see a value change. So if I went back up into the index finger, right here, this flat portion is kind of turned away from the light source. I have kind of a medium value on this finger that sits right in here. Then I have a little reflective light getting caught, and then it gets a shadow that comes across on the tip of the knuckle, and then the cast shadow sits here from the thumb. So it's not only important that we are finding our landmarks like our fingers and folds in our hand, but also that you map out where you see those value changes throughout your entire hand, the best that you can for our line and shape hand. As always, if you have any questions, make sure you come up and ask, and I can answer those one-on-one as well. Thank you.